started today. Thank you, Miss Wait a minute. It says MJ, but it's got Jane's picture. What is
This is
going on here?
CMJ. I actually
What
use the
is
account, the Zoom account, so I can record. But yeah, this is MJ.
doesn't look like it, man. Look at that. Looks like Jane to me. You guys are messing with me. You're gonna make me go crazy right now.
Hi, this
Oh,
is
yeah, it
MJ.
is. Okay. It is. All right. All right. Perfect. Okay. Today we are talking about, we got a lot of cameras off, so I hope you guys are able to learn because today we're talking about IUL and how we write up policies, right? How many of us have written up an IUL policy themselves? Okay, we have two. We have Leanne, and then we have Miss Randall. Oh, we got Teresa. Teresa. And I know Helen has. I'm not sure about the other ones yet, but this is the thing. Can I go ahead and just be, if I may I just be a little blunt? We are not writing as many IULs as I want us to. In fact, we're not writing IULs. And I'm not quite sure why, outside of I know we do have a little bit of issues with some contracting with a few of us. Oh, by the way, Teresa, are you able to jump on for 2 seconds? Hello, my dear. How are you? So here's you might know this about Misha or not, I'm not sure. Do you guys have or have you been contracted before with Allianz?
No, not Allianz.
Okay. So I've got some good news for everyone on this call. We have brokered a deal with, so actually, let me back up. We're trying in an effort to try to get contracting and onboarding a lot easier and better for our agents. We are brokering a deal with the second largest broker in the world. And this broker is actually, we've just got our first contract, and that is with Allianz. And you guys, most likely by next week for IULs, are going to be able to start the contracting process with them. Now, what is really good about Allianz is that they are the number one fixed index annuity company in the world. In the world, they have over $150 billion in assets that they manage with fixed index annuities, which is seismic. Number two, they are the number one IUL company in the US and number three in the world for IULs. And this is one of the things that make them unique. You know how an IUL grows cash? We'll see if anyone's paying attention to what happened, what we talked about last episode. How does an IUL grow its cash?
Anybody but Sherry?
Well, I was like, no one ever wants to say anything,
I
and
know.
Sherry's like,
Okay,
okay, this silence is awkward. So
and that's
how
why I
does it
speak up. So they
how
never
does it grow cash? How does it grow
well
cash here?
dividend.
with the
Stock
no
market.
with the money
Oh, did I miss it?
the cap, the if it's 9% or whatever that gets
If it's in the
accredited.
market, it's in the
Yes,
market. Okay.
yes.
Oh, well, see,
The
that's why
thing
you don't want
is,
answering.
the thing is, it's a good thing that you spent the extra money to make it to Sarasota, Sherry. So you're dead on with this. The good thing is, or the way you have to get and buy in the market is you have to have hedge fund managers, people who actually do this. There's a license, there's all of these things. And so, one of the reasons why buying stocks and investing in the stock market is as expensive as it is because all the insurance companies actually have to outsource that function. And that's why every month you'll see a point to point, or every year a point to point, is because it's expensive. And so if you've ever went through these IULs, you'll see there's a buy date of 2 times a month for most carriers, and that's it, because it costs money. Allianz actually has their own hedge fund group. They literally do the buying and selling themselves, which means we can get up to daily strategies that are done, which is very, very good, very unique for what it is we're trying to do. The other thing that I like about Allianz is that you get 2 types of compensation. If it is A, which I don't recommend, most of the time I do not recommend an A death benefit. But if it's A, you get paid one time and that's it. And by the way, their target premium is more than anyone else I've seen for the same illustrations. Their target premium, they actually give a bigger target premium. But the thing that I like is that Allianz will pay you not spread out 1 year over 6. They will pay you for 6 years of an IUL. So you get year 1, which is the big chunk of it, but then they pay you 2.5, 3+%, sometimes up to 12% per year for 6 years. That's crazy. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty nice. And they pay you just about what a term policy pays. So pretty darn good money there. So I'm really looking forward to moving over with them. So with that being said, today we're going to learn how to do NLG because I don't have Allianz yet. We're still waiting to do that. But this is what I want to know. So we've had Teresa, Leanne, and Michelle Randall have done IULs. Helen, I know Helen has written an IUL. So here's my question for you guys: is how many of us here feel comfortable that we could write an illustration? We're going to get right down into the middle of this right now, and we're going to write an illustration. Okay. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen out, and we are going to unmute when we have something to ask. But I'm going to go through all of this, and I'm going to ask. Here's the thing that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to say this with as much love as I can. We're not writing IULs. We need to write IULs. This is our subject matter expert group. We need to be writing IULs. Okay, so if it is a contract thing, guess what? Starting next week, we're going to have one of the best IUL companies in the world that we're going to have access to and be able to start writing, which I am stoked about. Number 2, we need to write IULs because that's how we get paid. And I don't know about you guys, but money is never a bad thing. So the more we do this, the better it is. Now, let me ask you a question if I can. Why do you think, how many have written an IUL in the last month? 1, 2. Why do we think that it's been a little dry? Is it not been our focus? Has it not been, we don't really know how to sell it. We're not comfortable. What do you guys think? We can talk. It's okay.
I would say for
Wanted
me,
to
it's
learn more
been-
about it. I was lucky enough to sell one to somebody that doesn't have an accounting background.
Okay.
So I could talk circles and he didn't really, he believed me. But I'm afraid that I'm going to come up against somebody that knows more than me and I won't have my rebuttals like right there,
Okay.
all my answers. So I need more training.
Okay. And Teresa, what were you saying?
I was waiting, well, I've been waiting on contracting, but it's moving now. So I was hesitant with NLG, so I'm glad you're covering it today, even though I already did with NLG, but I don't know why I just think their process is so long.
Okay. Well, we'll dig into it. And for those of us who don't want to answer, I feel you. I know we'll get this going. It's all right. It's okay to. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Helen.
I was just gonna say I wasn't promoting it like I should. I actually just started. I put an IUL up post today, so I'm gonna get back into it. I was more on the debt-free life side, so
Yep.
I'm gonna start promoting IULs again.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Because as soon as you start promoting IULs, then I'm going to say, well, why aren't we promoting debt free life? But that's all right. There's just I have to have a reason to yell at you guys, right? Okay, so hold on. Let me go ahead and share this out. And here we go. We are National Life Group. Does everyone recognize this dashboard? Is everyone following me here with this? Okay, check this out, everyone. We've already gotten 30,000, 31,000 of anticipated target premium. And look at what we've already written here in new business, just sitting here, 328,000. We got $360,000 in the last 4 months of target premium. That's pretty outstanding. Well done. I'm still going to say you guys aren't quite writing enough, but it's still well done. Well done. Okay, let's go to illustrations here. And you guys see everything right here. We're going to go ahead and click illustrations. And I want, first of all, when you come up here, you're going to have life and annuity. We're going to go to life. We're going to follow that. And this is what we're going to do, folks. I am going to ask you, if you can, if you're in a place that's quiet, unmute. If you can't, then just listen in. But this is for us to get, if it does me no good at all if I'm showing you guys this stuff and all of a sudden you're not able to learn because we're not focused or whatever the case is. Hey, okay, I'm sharing this. You guys got it, right? Okay. New illustration. See this? Okay. Let's see, Texas. Yeah, Helen, we're going to pick Texas. We're going to pick Texas. Okay. Now, let me ask you all a question. Which product do we do most of the time?
Flex Life.
Flex Life. What is the other product we might want to do?
Summit Life.
Summit is actually for people with a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So, but for what we're going to be doing here, most of it is going to be Flex Life. Okay. Now, once I come in here, I can't because it's a web browser. What you guys are going to want to do, click on your Zoom screen and you should be able to see where you can enlarge it. But I don't really have the ability to do it here.
Zoom screen.
You can click on the three dots and make it 150%.
See.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, can you guys see that a little better anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So, Helen knows best. Okay, and we're going to go female, and let's get a birthday out there. Let's go June 20th, 1991. 34 years old. Now, let me ask you a question. What do we do here under the rate class, everyone? What's important to do here?
Standard.
Standard. Always do standard. If they are tobacco, obviously we do tobacco, but we do standard non-tobacco if they're not smokers. Don't go to elite, don't go to preferred, don't do any of that. We want to go standard. Now, why, you ask? Because it is easier to tell them, oh, you qualified for better, than it is to say, yeah, hey, we thought you were healthier, but you weren't. It's just not a good thing there. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through this. Now, owner information. What is unique about an IUL? What does the owner mean?
So if you're writing a policy on a juvenile, you would make the parents the owner.
Okay. What is the owner is literally, they are the ones that own the contract. Within an IUL, you've got a couple of different categories. You have the owner, you have the payer, you have the insured, and you have the beneficiary. The owner, the payer, and the insured could all be the same person, but they don't have to be. The beneficiary could be one or two or an organization or whatever else. Okay. So you've got the owner. Is the owner an individual? Is it a company? Is it a trust? And if the owner is the same as insured, we just leave this here. If it's something different, then there needs to be insurable interest connecting them. So, for example, most IUL companies will make sure it is a bloodline directly, not an aunt, not an uncle, not a niece, not a nephew, but it is child, grandchild, or a child puts one on their parent, something like that. Okay. So that's the front page. Now we get in, and what I do love about National Life Group is you've got this little thing over here that gives you a lot of good information as you are doing this. Okay. So next thing we do is we're going to go to death benefit and funding. Life insurance compliance test. What are our two options here? We have guideline premium test and we have cash value accumulation test, or CVAT. I never recommend anyone use CVAT. Don't even know why it's still an option. Guideline premium test is what we're going to use for everything. Now, if you look here, mech avoidance, what is mech avoidance?
They don't go over the threshold for tax
Okay.
reasons.
Yeah, so mech being modified endowment contract, if you do not want to go over that, you check this box. Here's the problem. I'm going to recommend you don't check this, because when you check this, and you can say, yes, adjust the face if it gets too high, or adjust the premiums. The problem is it doesn't let you get creative in here. So what I do is I always put this none, and then I do it a different way. Okay. Now, for face solve type, we all know face is the death benefit, the face amount. We want to go minimum death benefit, max cash value for a good portion of what we do. Why would I want to go balanced death benefit or protection focused? Or what are those? Crickets.
To make more money, if you have a minimum death benefit, it'll benefit the client instead of you, maybe.
Okay. All right. But then, so
And-
what is balanced death benefit? What would that be?
So if you're applying for like 100K, it stays 100K. There's no growth in that death benefit.
No, not on balance. No, this one right here. Balanced death benefit, you're going to get a balance between a high death benefit and cash value. So it's going to give both of those as much of an increase as you can. Here, death benefit is not an option. They just want minimum death benefit. For example, I wrote one on a couple that this lady wanted a higher death benefit on her husband. And so instead of minimum death benefit, maximum cash value, we went with the balanced death benefit. So it would still grow cash, but the death benefit would also be higher because that's what she wanted. And then protection focus would basically keep the money in there and run illustrations so that the cash value of the policy wouldn't lapse, it would stay protected. Okay. For the most part, we're going to be minimum death benefit and max cash value. Now, death benefit option, I think, Leanne, is what you were thinking about here when you said your thing. Death benefit option, what do we have? The options we have
because it's level. Got it. Yeah.
A are level and B is increasing. What is the difference there? Somebody other than Leanne, tell me. What is the difference between a level death benefit and an increasing death benefit? We have to know this.
Level death benefit, the The oh Lord, I went blank. The debt benefit is going to stay the same. So if you have 100,000, it's going to just level out and stay at 100,000. But if we have increasing debt benefit, as your cash value grows, your debt benefit would also grow as well.
Okay, good. So there are two reasons. This is how most IULs have been written in the past. And it is not what has been sold is not what you get with a level death benefit. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this. So let's just say, for example, okay, let's just say I'm doing this, and I'm going to just show you really quickly what this looks like with a level one. Okay, a level death benefit. When I run this out, and I'm going to show you guys what the illustration looks like. I think I am. Here we go. If you guys notice the level that the face 108,449. Okay. Now, my death benefit always stays the same. You guys see that? It always stays the same. Let's go ahead and make this a little bigger here. 108,449, 108,449. No matter how many years, it keeps staying the same. Only when I get to year 28, it raises up. Why is that? Does anyone know? Why does this death benefit now increase? We told it needed to stay level. I'll help you.
Are you taking withdrawals? Is that way?
Nope. Not taking
No,
withdrawals.
you pretty much you pay for the cost of insurance.
So the IRS rule 7702 determines how much cash you are allowed to have in an insurance policy in relation to the death benefit. And normally speaking, you can't have any less than 7%, or else they're going to treat it as an investment and not an insurance policy. Okay. So if you had $96,000 and what is 7% on that is, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but what they're saying based on the age and based on the MEC algorithm, the death benefit needs to go to 121,000, or else this cash that's growing here is going to be considered an investment. Okay, so even a level death benefit, when there's enough cash in there, will actually go up. This is my problem with a death benefit, with a level death benefit. If I put in $1,500 every year, watch what happens here. Michelle, I put in $1,500, and if you look, I've got $1,120 of accumulated value. That is basically my cash value less my cost of insurance. Okay, does that make sense? So 1,120, this was 15. That means that $380 for the year went towards my insurance product. So if I were to tell you, Miss Randall, if you were to open an IUL with me, you're going to notice, or you're going to see, that it builds cash value every single year that you put this in, right? And we're all like, oh, great, cash value. That's awesome. Well, here's the problem I have. Michelle, if you were to die at the end of year 10, how much money have you put into this policy? $15,000,
Yeah,
right?
15,000.
Okay. And how much accumulated value do you have?
14,700.
760. Okay, you've put in 10 years of money. If you die, how much of that death benefit do you get?
You get the full amount, don't you? Whatever's
Full
on your
amount. Yeah. But the problem is, what happened to the cash you were saving?
uh, does the insurance eat it?
Yeah, the insurance company takes it. And that's one of my problems with doing this as a level death benefit, is that you literally watch what happens here. Let's say we're going to all the way up to year 27. Michelle, you have put in $82,000. Okay. And if you die, you get nothing more than you did on day one. Well, that doesn't seem like a good use of money, does it?
No.
You're forfeiting that money. And this, by the way, folks, is why Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey say that it's a scam. Because you put all this money in and you don't even get it back. All you get is a death benefit. So I wanted to point this out. Now, what is the positive of having cash value close to the death benefit? What's the one thing that's a good thing about this?
You could borrow the cash value and the death benefit stays intact.
You can borrow the cash value, yes. But what is the benefit of having the cash value so close to the face or the death benefit?
The cost of insurance is low.
There you go. The cost of insurance is low. Why? Because this insurance company already has $82,000 of my money. If Michelle dies, what does Michelle's family get? $108,000. You follow me? Well, Michelle's already put in $82,000. So how much is the insurance company really on the hook for?
About 20,000.
About $26,000. Okay, so guess what happens? That's a really cheap insurance product. So Michelle, as you get older, with when you have a level death benefit, that's the only good news, is it's going to be a lot cheaper. But the bad news is it's just you're forfeiting everything at the beginning. All right. Very important to know. Absolutely very important to know this, because this, as they say, the devil is in the detail. So now let's go back and look at, we're going to do this again with the death benefit funding. And I'm going to go increasing. When we do an IUL as an investment, and I had someone tell me the other day that, you can't call an IUL an investment. You can't call an IUL a retirement plan. Has anyone ever heard that? Has anyone ever heard people say you don't call an IUL a retirement plan? Don't call. Has anyone ever heard that? Yeah. By the way, whoever says that does not understand what this is. They do not. There is a term in the industry called LIRP. 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 Who wants to take a stab? What does that mean? Oh, this is pretty easy, guys. Come on, let's think outside the box here just a little.
I put it in the group text.
Oh, you put it oh, of course you did. You're gonna make us all look here. All right. Let's see what the chat says. There. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Life insurance retirement plan. Life insurance retirement plan. LIRP. That is what an IUL is. So don't let anyone who has no idea about this say, well, life insurance isn't a retirement plan. It absolutely is. It just shows their ignorance when it comes to that. So let's go back here. So we're going to go increasing. This is what I recommend. Now, normally, rule of thumb, do you see the change year here, guys? I like to put this as increasing until I'm done contributing to my policy. Okay? Because like we talked about with Michelle before, when we are putting money into this, we don't want to lose our hard-earned money. Once I'm done putting my money in and the policy is making compound interest, okay. At that point, that's fine. That can then cover that, but I'm not going to. How old was this young lady here? Helen Knows Best is 34 years old. When is she going to retire? Let's just say 64. Okay. So we are going to change the death benefit option in 30 years. Everyone see that? 30 years, we're going to change the death benefit option. Now, what happens? I want you guys to look at this. First of all, do you see my target premium, guideline premium, non-MEC premium? Now, if I put this M for max, look what happens over here. My target is 416. And we know what target premium is, right, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Target premium is what we get paid on.
Mm-hmm.
Guideline single premium is $12,279. The max non-MEC premium, this is what I love about NLG, is it shows me how much I can actually put in. All right. So 1,500 a year is what I said, but now we got 2,500 is what I can actually put in without it mecking. So that's good. Now watch what happens here. If I go ahead and put year 30, watch what happens to my target and my max non-MEC.
Okay, it
See
went
how
up.
this goes up? See how this goes up?
Mm-hmm.
Guideline single went up. Everything went up. Okay. Now, if I do this one, maximum face amount reduction, what happens to that? What will that show up like on the illustration? Remember what we talked about before, the face amount. If the face amount, which is a death benefit, if that stays high, then it's further away from the cash value, which means the insurance company has to make up the difference, which means that the cost of insurance is going to be higher.
Okay.
Okay. If I were to reduce this, I'll show you what that would look like here in a second. Right now, I'm going to show you what this looks like right now, because I think I'm trying to go bit by bit so you guys can see every time we check something, what actually happens. Okay. So now we're going to go to the second ledger. And if you look here, so first of all right, Lisa, we got 79,698. That's our beginning face amount. Remember, that was our face amount all the way through. We put 1,500 in, 300 goes to insurance, 1,200 goes to cash value, right? It's about 20%. So this 1,200 that I put in for cash, if I add 1,200 to 79,698, what do I get? Right there. See how my death benefit increased by 1,200? So what's happening is you're getting credit for all the cash you put in on top of the death benefit. It's awful quiet. I think I've lost it.
How are you switching to this illustration where you are now? I'm trying to follow along in the app. How did you just get here?
I just ran the report. I ran the illustration.
Okay.
So going back to this, does everyone see this now that it was 79,698, but because it's increasing, it adds my accumulated value to the original face amount, and that is now my new death benefit. Does everyone see that? So in year 10, we've put in $15,000. My accumulated value is 15,884. Well, what's 15,884 plus 79? It's 95,000. So in other words, I'm getting credit for every dollar of cash that I can put in here. That's why I like this. Now, here's what's going to happen. When are we going to stop contributions?
At age 64, right? I think that's what you
Yeah,
set it for.
30 years. 30 years,
30
right?
years.
Okay. So look what happens. 63, at year 30, I paid my last $1,500. Year 31, why is this still paying? Let's see what this is doing. Oh, that's okay. That's why. Because the death benefit, there we go. I didn't change the premium. I just did the face amount. I'm still paying the premium 1 through M. What does M stand for?
Max.
Max. So this says I'm going to pay. So what I want to do here is if I want to stop contributions after year 30, then I need to put that under premium amount here, 1 through 30. Okay. Because then it's going to show I'm done contributing. So now we're going to go back and look at this real quick. We're going to run the illustration here. I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, let's grow this big and big. Okay, after year 10, 15, there it is. We know how the death benefit's going up. Now look at that. After year 30, we put nothing else in. Okay? And then if you look, it stops and then it goes the same. Even, do you see how it's fixed now? It goes from B to A. It doesn't move, doesn't move, doesn't move, even though our accumulated value goes up from 106 to 112. My death benefit doesn't move. And it stays the same until my cash value is too high that it has to move. Because I always have to have that, what to qualify for a non-mech, you always have to be at the minimum of more death benefit than you have cash. So this is normally how we do this now, because so Michelle Randall, we're sitting here, and if this was your policy and you were 69 years old and you had 154,000 cash and your death benefit was 178.9, how much are you really paying for insurance?
Oh, 20-ish thousand dollars, 23.
So you're about 24,000 ish, yeah, less than 25,000, just simple math, is all you're paying for your insurance coverage. That's a pretty good deal at 69, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So because you've got 180,000 in coverage or death benefit, but you're only paying 25,000 worth of premium. You know, it doesn't cost you 25,000, but that's all that your money. That's how, by the way, if you look, we stopped paying. Look at this. We haven't paid anything, and your cash value or accumulated value goes from 106 to 112. How much is this? You made $6,700 this year in just compound interest. See, we didn't put anything in. You let it sit. This is net after the cost of insurance, folks. This is after fees. This is after everything. Well, how about year 31 to 32? Again, $7,200 net. That is how this continues to grow even as you get older. Look at this, 83 years old. You're gaining from 358 to 381. Seriously, $23,000 that year? $23,000 that year. And look at my death benefit. I'm only paying for 18,000 in death benefit at 83. So my insurance cost is next to nothing. And that's how this will continue to grow until you die. This will never lapse if it's set up the right way over here. Okay. Is this helpful or are we confused?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, David.
Yeah. Question. Okay. So my question is, this is a small monthly or annual premium policy.
Uh-huh.
How does a client that we start off on a policy like this, who becomes, more wealthy later, because this is a 30-year journey that they're on starting today. So how do we add additional policies? Like what's the roadmap for them? Because $100,000, no, that we're all going to burn through that in a year in 30 years from now. So what happens next if we start someone on this policy today? How do we help them grow to afford a retirement plan that pays for them?
So if I understand the question, it is at this point, it's a little tough to look into a crystal ball and see what their money situation is going to be in 20, 30 years, right? However, this is what I want to share with you. Let me go ahead and share this back out.
Well, what I'm saying, guys, no one's gonna be able to live on $100,000 in 30 years. So this is not a viable retirement program for anyone. This policy in particular, but maybe this is all they can afford right now, and they need a death benefit. So it might be a good fit today to get started. What's the journey we're taking them on?
Well, so first of all, I'd be careful about when you say 100,000 in 30 years, no one's gonna be able to work with that. Be careful, because if you're assuming that your inflation is going to make the cost of money go greater, keep in mind inflation also impacts interest in the markets. And so one of the indications of inflation is a higher market. So the numbers you see today based on the market, if there is inflation, and that's why we don't calculate necessarily inflation, because if there is, the market performance is going to have that inflation number in it. It has to. And that, so just keep in mind that there is that. There's also a couple of riders that you can choose to add. Where is it at here? I think there is. I forget where it is, but you can actually add it, and this is not.
Is it that balance sheet benefit? I noticed you didn't click yes.
No, that's not. That just gives the cash available immediately. But anyway, David, I want to share with you kind of what this looks like and how that this is going to be helpful. And this is what I do like about NLG. Let's go back here to the benefit and funding part, okay? Because this is a little bit of a, I was doing this the other day. How many of us do children's policies, and they're fantastic, but you don't make anything on it, right? You just don't. So let's look at this. Let's say, for example, I'm going to do this person.
Scott, can I also add that in 30 years, the person's expenses might have already have gone down?
Well, and that's another thing too. Yeah. And so there's a lot of those things there. All we can do, any retirement specialist, any strategist, all they can do is look at like the money there is now. We don't know what inflation is going to be, but if one of the indicators of a strong market is if there is inflation, the market also follows suit. It has to. So that's just what I don't want us to get kind of caught up in. How do we somehow look and do that? Because there's not a way to do that accurately. David, I do want to show you this though. This is where, if we look here, if you see This person is just, it is a 1,500 a year. Let's just switch it to monthly. And let's just say it was $100 a month. Okay. Because I had a person just the other day that showed me this, and this is let's see here, Max. So if you look, the target premium was $189 because it was 100 a month and it was increasing to max. And if you look, they could put in about, well, $1,200 is 100, so they could put in about 689, almost $700 a year more. Okay, without mecking. But watch what happens here. If I say, look, I only want my child to pay for, let's say they're 3 now. Let's just say at 53, I want them done. So we're just going to say 50 years. Watch what happens here.
That's on the death benefit part of it, Scott. Is that where you meant to change it at, or is it supposed to be the premium? Okay.
No, I wanted to change it there at the death benefit. And then here, I'll also change it. And then if you look, it went from 187 to now 854. But David, look at my non-mech premium here. You see that? One of the things I like about National Life Group is if you can change this part and this part, which we have the ability, mech includes the up to 120 years. So I have 50 years here to play with, and all of a sudden now, if you notice, instead of max, this said, oh, well, which means then based on that you can go from 30 whatever hundred up to 8,500 a month. Excuse me, a year. This increases your ability. And so one of the things that I like to share with someone is this is per year every year. So if this was for 50 years, 50 times $8,600 is 1.4 something million that you are able to add additional in without restructuring this policy. So that's the key that you look at when someone says, well, yeah, but what's that's going to be $100,000 by the time they're whatever, that's not going to be enough. Well, that's based on 100. But guess what? You have the ability, as you get a better job, as you get whatever, they can put this money in and it's not going to show up on the illustration. Like we did one for Michelle Lee's little girl where it was, they said, well, we're probably going to do between 200 and 300 a month. Well, guess what we wrote it for? $50. Now she's not going to get paid hardly anything on it, but this is we want this to do well, not to pay well. We want her girl to have a good performing policy. So at $50, they could still put in up to 300 a month. And all of that then goes to cash value, except the small part of insurance that goes to the death benefit, which is about 20%. And it's all available cash day one. So that's a little trick that you can do there, David, because now all of a sudden you see this is 8,500. So they have the ability, without rewriting the policy, to put in a lot more money, which is going to mean then a lot more than $100,000. That's how you accomplish that.
So what is your opinion, the best company to do that strategy with? Is it Lafayette Life? Is it Kansas City Life? Is it?
Well, it depends. If we're talking IUL right now, it is National Life Group. I have a feeling I have a feeling Allianz is going to play very well in that ballpark.
Okay, because I'll wait a week before. I have some kids' policies I'm looking to, speak to people about. So okay.
Yes. So I would, but I will tell you this: the National Life Group, the way these kids' policies go, like it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They're both really good. National Life Group is once again, I think it was JD Power, I forget who it was. They just named National Life Group the #1 insurance company in the U.S. life insurance. So they're not bad. You know what I'm saying? They're not bad at all. But anyway, so I wanted to show you this. Now watch this here. If I do this max face reduction, it's not really going to mess too much with any of this, but let me show you the reports now, because this is where I really wanted you guys to see is what happens. I want you to be able to talk to someone and say, okay, I know how to write an illustration based on, what I understand you want an IUL for, which is grow cash, still have death benefit protection, and don't have it lapse. If you look here, because they're a younger person, as you can see, you don't get a whole lot of cash value there, right? Not a whole lot happens here. But if you come up to year 50, it was, I think. Yeah. Watch what happens here. Goes from 643 down to 577. See how it dropped? And then it's going to eventually go back up because there's more cash in here. But for putting in $100 a month, look at this kid at 60 years old, at 65 years old, where most of us are retiring. This is no 401k. This is nothing outside of just, this is $862,000 with $1 million coverage that this young child has for $100. It's pretty outstanding. You don't touch that until 70. When normally people are taking their RMDs at 73 years old, this little girl's got $1.2 million.
So who controls the money in that while she's underage? Is that
that's
until
all. That's
until
juvenile
18
policy.
or 21? Till 18?
18.
18. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you show one if a parent wants to use it for college funding? So that means that they would need to definitely put in more than just 100. So the focus would be on.
Yeah, so basically it would be so let's say, all right, this is the child, and we're going to, let's say, in 10 years, because let's see, how old was this girl? So let's say 16 years, let's say 15.
Do a 5-year-old.
Now I gotta guess the dates and all that stuff. So 2020. Okay. 5-year-old, and we're going to say 15 years. So by 20, they'll be in college with the thing due. So let's just say, all right, what do you want to, how much is college going to cost a person? Oh, $1,000 a month. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get ahead of it. We're going to do $1,000 a month now. So you're not going to have to worry about it. And this is 1 through 15. And that's it. This is 1 through 15. 15, got it. Okay. Now watch how this is going to work. We're going to run this report. And then we're going to show y'all how this plays out. Keep in mind as well, the best way to use life insurance cash value is like a bank. Only when you are old enough to not have to pay it back with retirement is when the retirement part works. I would always recommend. So when you have a kid who's going to college or whatever else, so for example, you put in $1,000 a month, Helen, because you know that it's going to cost them, 10 years, 120,000 easy. You put in $120,000, you got access to 145,000 cash. Access to 145,000 cash. Now, keep in mind, we all have kids in college or have had kids in college. There's what they call the FAFSA, Federal Application for Financial Student Aid, or something like that. Based on how much you have in savings, the government won't give. So, Helen, if you had a 5-year-old and they were good at saving, worked their whole life and saved up $20,000, $30,000 in the bank, their government aid would be less because they actually saved up. Okay, it's a stupid program, but that's how they designed it. Guess what? This is not considered money. This is a life insurance product. Therefore, all the money they have in here has no bearing on what they would qualify for financial or student aid. And then all the parent has to do then, how much is tuition? Well, it's 20 grand this year. Okay, we're going to take a loan for 20 grand. How much would your student loans cost you? Well, they'd cost me 7%. Okay, we'll do this at 5%, and you're going to pay this back. And so as the parent, you're able to teach them the responsibility of loans and all this other stuff with that. So it is a very, very, very great product. I love the IUL. What I wanted to share with you guys here, because I've got a 5 o'clock that I've got to be going to, but I wanted to share this with you. Here's rule of thumb. If it's for cash value, increase it until they're done contributing, lower the death benefit. And if someone says, I'll be able to probably put in 10,000 a year, but right now I can only do X. Make sure that non-mech side over there on the illustration gives them that room, because that's from day one. So if it takes them 10 years, they can go back and make up the 10 years. If they plan for 8,000 a year and they only did 1,200, at 7,000 a year, they get to make up before it goes into mech status. Teresa, what you got?
Just really quick, last week I think we also touched on NLG and doing the parent being the owner of the policy. So I did speak to them this week, and one of the reps told me that when you do the policy, just put the child as the owner, and then as soon as the policy is enforced, you can go ahead and change the owner of the policy back to the parent. So just so we know.
Yeah.
And then the other question I had is about Allianz. Do you know what their underwriting guidelines would be? Because I know NLG goes through credit report. They go through, obviously the physical, the medical. So
yeah, I don't know any of that. I do know that there is this isn't like an Americo. Like, this is the real deal heavyweight IUL product. So I do know Columbus Life actually has a quick issue up to $1 million, I think. So that's pretty good. But anyway, I wanted to show you this here. I want you guys to start practicing. There's Michelle Randall. So, you want to know a little bit more about this. This is kind of how you can look at it. Okay. And you guys let me know if you have any questions, but I really want us to start including this. I know I was talking to Jason the other day. He wants to kind of start humping on this IUL stuff and getting the good talk track down and whatever else. Guys, this is the Swiss Army knife of financial products. It really is. This is my favorite thing out there. So you let me know if you need any help. I have a 5 o'clock call I've got to get to, and I'll talk to you all later. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. We'll see
Thanks,
everyone.
Scott.
Bye-bye.